The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Storybrooke Weekly Mirror in Wonderland, the unofficial Once Upon a Time in Wonderland internet radio show exclusively on PapiChuloRadio.com. Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. I'm your host, Papi Chulo. During tonight's broadcast, we are going to revisit ABC's Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. Later on in the broadcast, get ready for a spoiler alert as we bring you the hit ABC series' Easter eggs and ratings. Please welcome my wondrous co-hosts. She's here about the lost and found. It's Brittany.
I don't know what I've lost. Maybe my heart, but maybe Will Scarlet can find it. Hey guys.
Next up, she doesn't have a name, milady. It's Jess.
Hi everybody.
And the Red King and her have never seen eye to eye on anything. It's Priscilla.
Ooh, I like that. Hey everybody.
So let's get into it. Let's jump into our recap of episode 1.11, which was titled Heart of the Matter, and originally aired on March 20th, 2014. Here's the official synopsis of the episode. Alice and Cyrus discover alarming information involving prisoners Jafar has under his control and changes their priorities. Meanwhile, the Red Queen is in critical danger, and no one can help her except the Knave by surrendering information to Jafar that he's been desperately seeking. In flashback, Anastasia is about to marry the king and strikes up a friendship with Cora that directly impacts Will. Cora also confronts Will, resulting with him asking her for a shocking demand. Bum bum bum. So I want to get everyone's initial take on this episode, their initial reaction upon revisiting the episode Heart of the Matter. Let's start off with Brittany.
I really like this episode. I think we're starting to pick up like those last, like, I guess that rule of like the last 4, maybe 3 episodes just being absolutely spectacular. And I think that's where we're at, because I feel like we keep ending on these cliffhangers where I just want to keep going and I don't care about you guys. Like, I'll watch, to keep up with the podcast and not go ahead so I don't spoil myself or you guys. But now I'm kind of like thinking like, fuck you guys. I'm going to keep going because it's just getting so interesting. And it's weird because I've already seen this show, but it's like I forgot some of the things that happened. I just knew I liked it, but now I'm remembering why. And I really like this episode a lot. I think we have a lot to talk about.
Priscilla, your initial thoughts?
I loved this episode. Like, I usually love anything with the Red Queen, and we get finally the backdrop, and yet there's something in it that bugs me. The fact that she was trained now by the amazing Cora, and she's still being schooled by a scrub like fucking Jafar. Like, I expect better from her now, considering, like, I know her backstory. But, and that ending, holy shit. Like, it's pulling all the pieces together for the final showdown, and I loved it.
Jess, what about you?
I agree wholeheartedly with Priscilla. I was really impressed by this episode. I thought that it had a lot of cool stuff going on. And I liked it even more the second time around because I appreciated things like that the first go around, I wasn't really like, I just kind of watched it and vegged out. And the second time, I was like, oh, that's clever. Oh, that's like, I like that. I like that they did that. That was a clever way to tell a story. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I completely get that. Like, this is why Jess and me see eye to eye in this episode. We get each other.
Our brains are connected.
That sounded creepy. But, I enjoyed the episode as well. I thought it was another strong outing. I agree with what Brittany was saying. It seems like as if they're headed to the end and the shit has hit the fan. And every episode heading to the end has just featured a what the fuck moment. And certainly there was a major one in this one. And I love the inclusion of Cora. Cora was such a great villain on the mothership. So it was great to see her on the spin-off. So before we get into our thorough recap, here are a few reminders on how you can interact with the show via social media.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Storybrooke Weekly Mirror. Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives.
Okay, so we have Cyrus, and he heads on down to Wonderland to speak with the caterpillar because he wants the forget-me-not. Remember, not the forget-me-not, because he wants the lost and found. Remember, he traded the lost and found ages ago to create that beautiful home that's hidden in the outlands. So he wants the lost and found back. But unbeknownst to the caterpillar, while they're trying to bargain and all this kind of stuff, we have a teeny tiny itty bitty weedy weedy little Alice who goes under the caterpillar's throne-ish type thing, or platform, royal whatever the hell you want to call it, and she ends up swiping the lost and found anyway. I like that they remembered the lost and found, because I always felt like when they were initially introducing, I was like, this is going to have like some sort of importance. And then it disappeared, remember? But we always kind of knew where it was because of the trade. But it was neat that they brought it back. And it certainly made sense from, a plot point. So I'm glad they didn't forget it. Sometimes I feel like the writers forget some of their magical stuff and invent new magical stuff when they already have stuff. So I'm glad that they brought it back.
I'm glad that we got fight scenes. Like, is it weird that Once Upon a Time in Wonderland is schooling me on what Once Upon a Time should have? Because do you remember back when Emma was a badass and kicked Tamara's ass? And here, but we don't get to see that anymore. We don't get to see fight scenes. And in this one, they choreographed shit. That was nice, being in this steampunk underground thing and seeing our very vanilla guy for a long time, leading man, kind of get his hands dirty and fight. That was cool.
I think the problem is on the mothership is that each villain, for the most part, is magical, and they don't really have underlings that are not powered people. So, I mean, you aren't going to see a person that is filled with magic fight physically. I mean, they're going to fight with magic. And so then it's just, a whole bunch of stuff getting shot at each other, fireballs and...
I'm still waiting for Emma to fulfill her promise from season 1 where she's maybe I just need to punch you in the face to rumple. Come on. Have that happen at least once.
That would be amazing. Although, it would have to be at a moment when he is depowered. Yes.
But, see, going back to, Wonderland, stuff like this is epic. I know you have to, it comes to, hiring, stunt coordinators, and, but, and we all know the budget sometimes is stretched pretty thin, but it's worth it. Scenes like this catch your eye.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They need more fights on the mothership because the fights on Wonderland have been excellent. But
I think it's because that everyone has magic. Like they don't.
yeah,
That's why everyone has been on the sidelines, like Robin Hood and even Hook sometimes, and David for sure. Like they're not doing anything because everyone has magic and like fight magic with magic. And here, the only person that has magic, is Jafar and the Red Queen. So Alice and Cyrus, they got to fight, and he trained her, and it was a really cool little sequence. Like it's nice. It's a reminder that our heroes are not just, reckless going into stuff. Like they can defend themselves and they can outsmart, drunken idiots. So it was nice.
exactly. Over at the palace, Jafar is going through his book of spells, working on harnessing the three genies' power to break the laws of magic. And two of the genie bottles start to shake, causing the castle to start shaking. All the way down to the dungeons where the Sultan and the Red Queen are held. But the third bottle, the Knave's bottle, shows no sign of magic. And the Jabberwocky is lounging about, and he calls her over, but and he's frustrated, so he ends up releasing the Knave from his bottle, and the Knave of Hearts, has no time for Jafar's questions and no answers as to how he is able to resist the spell. So the Jabberwocky offers to read his fear and decipher how this is achieved, and it's interesting because the Jabberwocky can read fear, not minds, and it's interesting to sort of like realize that the Jabberwocky, being as powerful as it is, has her own limitations. But the Jabberwocky sort of like searches through the Knave's mind and the Knave of Hearts. I guess he feels like he has nothing left to lose because he's sort of like giving it back at her with like the sass and all that kind of stuff, and she's unable to sort out what is going inside the Knave, and it was interesting. So Jafar deduces that this must be the Red Queen's doing, explaining to the Jabberwocky that she and the Knave have a history together, and so Jafar decides to pay the Queen a visit in the dungeon. So that basically leads us into our first flashback, and we're introduced to the Red Queen prior to her wedding day, and this is where she meets her Tweedles. They don't have any names, they're just called the Tweedles, and they're there to do whatever the Queen wants, whatever she needs. And the first recommendation is that they need to make some tea for their visitor, and that visitor is the Queen of Hearts, Cora, aka the mother of Regina on the mothership of Once Upon a Time. I loved seeing Cora. I wished that they would have done way more crossovers with characters from the mothership and made a lot more of like the main cast, because we did see Robin Hood and we saw Maleficent, but they aren't the main cast. Robin Hood at that time was a new character, he was recurring. Maleficent was like a guest star, and Cora has been like a recurring guest star. It would have been nice to have seen some more of like the actual main cast on this show, but it was great to see Cora. What did everyone think of the inclusion of Cora?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Cora was presented to us and that she taught Anna what she knows and that she's there to ruin another relationship. Because I feel like Cora is like so bored with her life, even though she has everything she wants. She somehow has to go and ruin other people. Like I don't like Cora. I've never liked her. She is not even I love to hate her. I don't like her. Like, she can be an awesome villain, but like her reasons for being one doesn't resonate with me. I don't like it. I just she makes in the things she told Anna in the flashbacks, and she's doing the same thing she did with Regina and from the mothership, and it frustrated me because I don't like it. I don't like that a show that's based on love and friendship is the reason Korra is a villain. She doesn't like that stuff. It's weakness, it's blah blah, and I'm like, oh my god, woman, shut up.
But that's like her thing.
I know, that's why I don't like her. I absolutely despise her. I'm not there excited about her. I'm there like, oh, really? You're gonna do the same thing you did to your other daughter? Really? I'm not surprised. And she's literally the reason why Will and Anna did not make up and did not and had like this rift between them. Sure, Anastasia made the mistake, but he gave her a second chance and she was gonna take it. And Cora got in the middle of that, and that really pissed me off.
I loved it. I love Cora. I love how a big part of her isn't necessarily the magic she has, and she has a ton of it. It's the mind games she plays with people. And I loved how she knew instinctively that Anastasia was like her. She came from like nothing. And she also knew that, like herself, she has like, I don't know, like emotional flaws that you can like work at to get what you want from her. And what she needed, what Anastasia needed was approval from the mother to be like to finally like realize her potential. Like it, and I don't know, it feels kind of good to me also that like Cora in her own really weird way wants her daughters, and I'm gonna like preface this with like little quotation marks, like her daughters to succeed. So she pushes Regina like the way she wants to, and she pushes Anastasia in this case to where like she wants her. And also like it would be weird if she never came out. Like at least the Mad Hatter was referenced, and the Queen of Hearts is part of Wonderland. It's like a big deal like for the story. So to have her in the show is a nice touch.
Yeah, I agree. Jess, as someone who has been a casual, sometimes viewer of the mothership of Once Upon a Time, what was it like for you to see Cora on the spin-off?
I still watched regularly when she was, excuse me, when she was on Once Upon a Time. It was after she left that I stopped watching.
Because
So
you couldn't watch it anymore because you loved her so much.
You know, a part of my soul just died. No, I'm just kidding.
I knew you got seduced by Cora, too.
That would imply that I had a soul.
Oh.
But, I liked Cora as a villain on Once Upon a Time. I think that, like, when they mentioned in Once Upon a Time that she was the Queen of Hearts, I was like, oh, there's got to be some sort of, like, big Alice in Wonderland plotline coming in. And so when I started watching, you know, Once in Wonderland, I was like, okay, but when are they bringing up Cora? Like, she's the Queen of Hearts. This is Wonderland. Can we get to it? Like, what's up? So it was nice to see her. And she is just as fearsome as she was on Once Upon a Time, and sickeningly manipulative and very, like, when she smiles, it looks like a shark smiling. She is incredibly evil and twisted and manipulative.
Fish
and
are friends, not food?
I will say this for Wonderland, you know, even though it didn't last and all of that, it has a really, really great lineup of villains that I can't remember. You know, when I used to watch Once regularly, I don't remember them having such strong villains one after the other. I was kind of, you know, when I stopped watching, and honestly, I forget around the time that was, the villain, it was at the very end of the Peter Pan season. So, you know, Peter Pan, okay, scary, whatever. I got over the shock value, but he wasn't really like a fantastic, amazing, I'd be scared if I ran into him. But Wonderland lined up all its villains very well. Like, I would be terrified of Jafar. I would be terrified of fucking the Jabberwocky. I would be terrified of Cora. Hell, I would be terrified of Amara. Back before we knew that she was Cyrus's mama.
Oh my.
I thought she was just like a creepy,
MILF.
creepy old sorceress. And I was terrified of her too. Like, I'm so impressed with what Wonderland has managed to do that I feel that the mothership didn't quite manage to do in holding my attention with villains and things like that.
Okay, that's interesting. I enjoyed seeing Korra. I did like seeing manipulative Korra, and I kind of got what she was doing. I guess she was trying to do what she did with Regina, but this time around, in her eyes, in her mind, to quote unquote get it right. She wanted this time, this is like her backup child. Like, this is someone who she's gonna serve as a mentor to, but this time it's going to end in the way that she would like it to end. It's not going to end the way that it happened with Regina, where she feels like she failed with Regina because Regina didn't turn out exactly the way that she had wanted her to. Like, this time around with Anastasia, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to do all the right things. I'm going to make her evil and a psycho bitch, and, she's going to be taught all the magic that she needs, and I'm going to mentor her, and she's going to be the queen that my daughter should have been.
It's very Mother Gothel, don't you think? Like,
oh, yes.
Yes!
Mother knows best. Like,
that's my eyes roll at that type of story. I don't like it.
Aww. But Jess is our own version of Mother Gothel.
I hate it when people tell you what they want you to be. That's one of the, or what you should feel, or how, or who you should be with. Like, I hate all those things. I have such a passion to strike those things down. So that's why I fucking hate Korra. It's interesting to see her on the show, though. Don't get me wrong. It's really awesome, and I'm glad that they did it. But she's up to her old tricks. She's doing the same damn thing, and I'm just like, I feel it, man. I feel so bad, especially when she goes to talk to Will. And she's like, I'm here in her place, and she's telling him that no, Anastasia's not coming, and you see him he's so crushed. Like, he was already crushed before when Anastasia comes out with the Red King, and here he's doubly crushed. And he's telling her, I keep waking up and thinking she's gonna come back, and she's like, well, she's not too bad, bye. I'm like, oh my god, I hate you.
I loved, like, I'm borrowing from Jess here, but I loved seeing him cry. Like,
oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Jess, what are you doing to our on-air personalities?
Infecting all of them.
Y'all are crazy.
But like, you could feel his pain. Like, the actor sold the shit out of it, where he's like, maybe today she'll come back to me. And every day my heart gets broken again. Like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this pain. Like, I don't know. Like, speaking for anyone out there who's had, like, a heartache or, like, a breakup, like, that's terrible, like this, with, like, no closure. Like, you do feel like that for a set amount of time, like, especially Raw, like, right afterwards, like he does, where, like, he sees her every day, and yet he knows, like, she's not coming back to him.
I think we also see a hint of that Will is a romantic. He's a hopeless romantic. He's holding on to the person he's very, very much in love with, and it's interesting from the Will we have now because, well, he doesn't have a heart, but like when he tells Anastasia, I'm giving you a second chance, and he's like, Anastasia is the most beautiful name I know. I was like, oh my god, that was
beautiful. That was like, yes. Holy shit, swoon.
I mean, you got to give it to the writers. They know how to write some really good romances. I mean, take note from this series and some of Once Upon a Time. Don't regress, Rumbell. But
gosh.
I mean, it's just like look at this. Look how it's so pure and it's so good. And then we want to bash Anastasia for the first time she chose the Red King, but here we see her packing. Like, she was ready to turn it away. Like, she got a taste of it. She liked it, but it wasn't everything she wanted. And she was going to go and get Will back. She was going to go back, and that just, like, changes everything, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let's talk about sort of, like, the major plot development in the flashback, which obviously we know Will does not have his heart. we have the Queen of Hearts here. Korra is the expert at swiping people's tickers. Were we surprised at his request to Korra? Was it nice to see so that we officially had an answer as to how he lost his heart?
It was fitting. And again, like, it's that whole, if there was a way for me to bottle up heartache and never feel it again, like, wouldn't you? Like,
Yes.
It's awesome. It's one of those problems too that we faced again and again in Once Upon a Time and now Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. Short-term answers with magic that aren't good in the long run. Like,
Yep.
it wasn't good for him. But like, oh god, that was epic. The way Korra knows how to play that game to both get a servant in the nave this way and make sure that her new protege gets everything that, like, she wants of her. Like, that, it's great.
It kind of reminds me, Priscilla, of the switching off from Vampire Diaries, where when you get the ability to be a vampire, you can switch off your emotions and you don't feel anything. So here it's like they take out the heart and you don't feel anything. And I love that how they played that. I mean, maybe it's so simple to the actor, but he's feeling everything 1 minute. She takes it out, and it's the Will Scarlet we've been seeing like the entire season. It's just like a flick of a switch, and that's awesome to see.
It's also telling that, like, we've seen people without hearts and how they, like, interact before, like when Belle hasn't had a heart, Robin Hood hasn't had one, Hook hasn't had one, and how they kind of go back to, like, their base form, like, without any, like, love or hate.
But logic, they end up having logic. Yeah.
And now you see, like, kind of why Will is so, like, smirky and standoffish, like, why he wouldn't, like, really care if somebody, like, gets their heart broken, because he doesn't have one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's literally heartless.
It's my type of guy.
Oh gosh.
Bad. But not bad. Like, is that weird? Like, you can say he's heartless, and usually, like, when you say that in real life, you're like, you're an awful person. But no, he's not an awful person. He's
maybe emotionless, like,
yeah,
you know, or I would say emotionless, you know, 'cause,
He's apathetic.
Yeah, there you go. Definitely that, because he does do some things that you know, like saving Alice in some ways, or throughout the series, he's been helping her when he really didn't need to. But it's kind of like it definitely is a logic thing, or thinking with your head. Like, you know, even though I don't have my heart right now and I really don't feel anything for you, I know that if someday I get it back, I'm gonna regret this. So I'm gonna go and help you.
Yeah.
Or, you know, a win-win situation. I'm gonna help you. I get the wishes. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah, to wrap up the flashbacks, basically the rest of what happened is Anastasia was going to go meet Will, but the Queen of Hearts, Korra, she stops her and she uses her manipulative ways to have the Red Queen choose ambition. You know, she chose power over weakness, because love is weakness, and all that kind of stuff. And later on we saw the Red Queen transforming herself, you know, from the innocent ingenue in white to taking on what we've come to be accustomed of her in the present day, you know, the red, flashy fashions. I don't know, I guess maybe Korra let her borrow a dress or something.
the ugliest she's ever looked.
Oh gosh.
Like, and it was that fucking, like, dress she was gonna take when she runs away. I'm like, you look like a peasant. Like, that is not you. Like, so I was kind of glad. Like, I was like, this is how you became the Red Queen. I'm glad. I like this. I prefer this you.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that was pretty much the flashback. We saw the Red Queen basically embracing everything that Korra had taught her. So let's get into some of the present day stuff. And
before we do that, can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Did she murder the king?
Who? Anna or Korra?
Yeah, Anna. Because the Red Queen is like, I have a feeling he's not going to be a problem for much longer, and we don't see the Red King anymore, ever.
Maybe,
So,
because there was that sort of rivalry, because as Korra stated, or at least she assumed, that the Red King did not appreciate her usage of magic.
But were they married yet? Because
Yeah, no, they were married, and remember, like they entered a partnership. They got married. That's why she started wearing red, and the Red King was kind of hoeing around, like bringing up like people to this
oh, it's
passage
because
with.
she was wearing white when she met Cora, and I feel like she's been wearing white before she becomes like the Red Queen. And it's not until like after she convinces her not to go with Will and she teaches her the power of the fire, like I feel like there is when she's cemented as the Red Queen, but nothing's happened yet. I don't know. Maybe Cora did kill him. I don't think Anastasia killed him. In my
I
opinion, I don't
I I,
remember.
I don't
I
know
don't
if
know.
Anastasia killed him. Like she kind of looked super happy with the fire. Like
Yeah.
that's the one thing like that I wanted to ask you guys, because if she did kill the Red King, then she's not as like blameless as like, because we've said before, like the reason that it was easier for her to kind of go through her redemption is because she hasn't been as bad as Regina is. And granted, she hasn't like killed off a whole bunch of villagers herself,
Yeah.
but she
Well, that's
let the
I
why.
feel like
like
Cora killed the Red King.
That's because he's the one that said it, and when or she's the one that said it. I'm sorry, and Anastasia is just kind of like, huh? And I feel like maybe right then and there, Anastasia's kind of like, no, I don't know. But then after she finds out what he's doing, Cora may push her to do it, or Cora got her hands dirty and already did it,
Yeah, because
or
Cora's
will
crazy.
do it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I agree. I just wanted to know what you guys like. Who killed the Red King?
Yes.
What y'all's idea was
It was the Queen of Hearts in the observatory with the candlestick.
with the candlestick. Always with the candlestick.
Yeah, it's epic. More blood splatter. Don't ask me how I know. So, in present day Wonderland, we have Cyrus and Alice. They're in their hidden loveness, struggling to get the lost and found to work. They're interrupted by the Tweedle. Remember the Red Queen's loyal Tweedle, bearing the message that they should leave Wonderland while they still have the chance, because the Knave's captured, the Jabberwocky's loose, and all this kind of stuff. Cyrus, is unfamiliar with the beast, but Alice is struck by this news, and so it seems as if only the Red Queen and Alice are familiar with this Jabberwocky, which is interesting in and of itself, I think, in my opinion. Cyrus and Alice choose to attempt a rescue, and they ask the loyal Tweedle to show them a way into the palace. So they sneak in through a series of tunnels, and they find the Red Queen in the dungeons. And she's thankful that they gave her a second thought, and before they can spring the queen, though, Jafar enters with his Jabberwocky in tow. And Alice and Cyrus have just enough time to get out of sight when the sorcerer begins to question the queen about what's different with the Knave of Hearts. Why isn't the spell working? And so he starts to do his Jedi mind tricks on her, choking her, slamming her against the wall, and all this kind of stuff. And
Hot.
it gets 50 Shades of Hay. And before Jafar can get too far with his torture session, the Jabberwocky's like, oh, okay. She knows why she can't read the Knave's fears and why Jafar's spell is a bust. The Knave has no heart. And it wasn't the Red Queen's fears that told her that. So Alice and Cyrus, are like, oh no. The villains are realizing that they aren't alone in the dungeon, so they escaped just in time. And, so the Red Queen is obviously ignorant about the fact that the Knave does not have his ticker, and we know why, because of the flashbacks. So, Jafar knows she is still of some use to him, and threatens to slit her throat in front of the Knave if he doesn't reveal where his heart is. And, of course, we all know Jafar means business. So, what ends up happening is, of course, we know that Alice has a bit of a hint as to where the heart is, because they head on over to the White Rabbit's house, because the White Rabbit obviously knows where the Knave has been, because the White Rabbit collected the Knave when they went to save Alice. So through the White Rabbit, they end up creating a portal to our favorite place, Storybrooke, USA. And a crater pops out from the ground, and we have Alice and Cyrus finally sort of visiting our world, so they're fascinated by the modern world. They almost get sideswiped by a car, because it seems to always happen on Once Upon a Time. You know what I'm saying?
Agree. Like, that looked like Rumple's car, too.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I don't think I really even noticed. But I wouldn't be surprised if Rumple would try to kill him.
Yeah, because I was just kind of like, what do those... Who the fuck has a Firebird in this town? Like, but I think it was... Yeah, no. The red car that we saw was Red Riding Hood's before, but it's not a Firebird. But, like, still, I appreciated that.
Yeah, I think that was Rumple's car, thinking about it again.
Why are all our characters going back to Storybrooke and almost getting run over by somebody that we know from there?
Because there's no stoplights in Storybrooke, have you noticed? Like,
because that's the most amount of a cameo they could afford.
There's no discipline for fucking cars because nobody wants to own a car in Storybrooke. Everybody wants to walk everywhere.
Cut them some slack. They only have one sheriff and a deputy.
That's true.
Yes. Good grief. So we have the White Rabbit distracted by the rabbit hole. I'm trying to remember. How did they know where the Knave's apartment was?
Because
the White Rabbit
is where it is.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say the right Wabbit, but the White Rabbit, no.
School you, Wabbit. Like, can I just say, it is unfair that Emma had to, like, live in, like, Granny's, like, rent, like, little tiny-ass room. Hook has to live in that tiny-ass room now. They all live in, like, a really, like, ramshackle loft now. And he gets to live in a fucking penthouse suite.
Well, if you think about it, like, they could have, like, found their own place. I don't think they've had the time, really, with everything that happens, to go apartment hunting or house hunting. I mean, it took Emma, 5 seasons and a movie to get her own place.
Yeah, no, I feel like at the end of every season, when everything's okay, they have, like, 5 minutes to, like, really enjoy where they're at, which is mostly Granny's, and then something bad happens.
Exactly.
They don't got time, Priscilla, to look for a nice place, even though I feel like they should be able to. I don't feel like the population in Storybrooke is a lot of people.
And now that they've got the unfinished business people, I mean, where are they going to live? In the forest?
And if he has a nice apartment, why did he go into Granny's to shelter himself from the storm?
Well, I think he just wanted something to drink.
Okay, that makes more sense, because at the time...
And he didn't want to pay for it.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So we've got the rabbit in the rabbit hole, appropriate enough, and we've got Alice and Cyrus going through the Knave of Hearts apartment, and we've got Cyrus fascinated by light switches, which I guess, who wouldn't be? And Alice is shocked that the fridge can produce ice.
That was adorable.
I wish we saw more of this with characters. Like, seriously.
Dude, didn't we say in the original we would love to see, like, Emma and Hook watching Netflix? Like, we want to see our characters, just be there. And even better for Cyrus and Alice, because they're definitely in a time where, like, technology is not a thing. Yeah, magic is a thing, but technology is not.
Yeah, I think at one point we had one of the princesses say something about, like, that demon box.
That devil.
Yes.
It was when they're telling her about a CD player, she's just kind of like, that devil box. I don't even use it. But I fucking love that they used Alice's line, curiouser. Like, God, yay! Like,
it was so cute. Yeah. Very, very nice little Easter egg, little throwback as well. But I just think Alice being like, what is this magic box with the ice maker? I was like, aw. And then the White Rabbit doesn't really know how to explain. He's just like, electricity. She doesn't know what electricity is. It's all great. That little scene is just all great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So they're almost fed up with trying to find the heart, because, I mean, they can't figure out where it is. We've got the Knave with a lot of his stuff still in boxes and whatnot, almost as if he, gave 3 shits about unpacking them. And, Alice sort of takes Cyrus's words into consideration. If she were the Knave, where would she keep her heart? And there was, this drawing of the Red Queen. And when she removes it, an eerie reddish glow emanates from the hole. That's what she said. And the knave had bricked up his heart inside of the wall.
I still want to know what the fuck, how that ties in, and we're never going to know, like, how that ties into when the knave comes back to Storybrooke and he's, like, hiding something along, like, the dirt, and how he, like, goes and gets, like, a picture of the Red Queen and, like, the library. Like, that's never going to be solved. So I kind of hope that means he was looking for a place to hide his heart, or, like, to find his heart. And that this was just, like, afterwards. It's not. I know the time progression, but one can only hope.
I'm gonna just go with that, since we're never gonna get answers. That's where I'm gonna leave it. It's better
Also,
that way.
He's a great artist. Like, that is a nice rendition of the Red Queen.
That was really nice. Mine is
Yeah.
like stick figures,
Oh, no.
and I don't even know how to draw a hand. Like, and I know how to draw.
I don't know how to draw a hand.
Like one anime eye, and then the other one's all fucked up. Like, I can't do shit, so that was very nice. You
Yeah.
go, Will Scarlet. Yeah.
That whole town has some, like, nothing to do but play darts. Like, what is it now? Robin's played darts, Hook's played darts, Emma's played darts, Graham, rest in peace, played darts, and now Will.
That's
They
true.
just they have a fascination with that shit. I need to get good at darts like they are. But that was a nice place to hide it. Where's my heart? Where my heart used to be with the queen.
Aww.
Right behind her.
Right behind her.
Yeah, I mean, that was just that was great. You could say it's cliche. I think it was perfect. I mean, where else was he gonna put it? It's like, it's great. And I like too that Alice she's always the one to figure out stuff, and I love that about her. It doesn't make her overpowered, it just makes her Alice.
Yeah, I agree.
That's her superpower, to be able to figure out puzzles. Like,
And she
well,
said it right in like the previous episode. She's like, I'm really good at riddles, or I really like, figuring stuff out, and I'm all like, that's her superpower. She may not have magic, but that's pretty powerful in it. Well, I can't even say, but that's just powerful.
Yes, I agree. In and of itself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So they return to Wonderland. We've got Cyrus, Alice, the White Rabbit, and we have all of a sudden the Lost and Found. It begins spinning wildly, announcing the arrival of Jafar.
Granny.
Yes, if it was the mothership, I would say Granny. But it is Jafar, or more precisely, this is going to sound so wrong, Jafar's snake staff.
Oh.
You have way too much fun with these dirty puns.
Yes. And, of course, we know that that's Amara, but they don't know, and but it is the thing that the former genie wishes to find the most, and Jafar demands the heart. When Alice and Cyrus don't comply, he blasts them with magic, sending them flying, collecting the box containing the heart for himself, and he turns on his enemies, preparing to get rid of them once and for all. However, his snake staff resists, fighting his whim, and refuses to use magic against Cyrus. And the reaction is so strong that Jafar himself loses control of his staff and is tossed backwards. I don't know why. I'm literally 5 years old. Good grief. And we have Jafar retreating with the heart box, leaving his snake staff in the hands of Cyrus. And Alice and Cyrus discover that the Lost and Found is attracted to the staff, meaning Cyrus's mother, Amara, is somehow trapped inside, and they vow to rescue her from this fate. Yay! Right, Jess?
Indeed.
Thank you. So, while all that has been going on, the Knave and the Red Queen have had a lot of alone time in the dungeons, and they've had a heart to heart, or a heart to no heart, about their sort of love and what happened, and the mistakes and the errors in their ways and all that kind of stuff. They had some really great conversations just about themselves and about what they've experienced and how they got to the point to where they are. But their conversation yeah, their tete-a-tete was cut short because Jafar returned with the Knave's heart in hand and the Jabberwocky right behind him. He grabbed the Knave of Hearts. The sorcerer shoved his heart back into his chest, and the effect is immediate. The Knave, overwhelmed with his feelings for the Red Queen, grabs her and pulls her into an embrace, and they kiss. Much like what we saw on the mothership once Cora got her heart back after not having it for so long, just a rush of emotion came over her. But then, much like the mothership, something horrible happens. And, what ends up happening is Jafar snatches the Red Queen away, and Jafar kills her, plunging his dagger into her back as the Knave of Hearts screams in agony. And the episode ends with a shot of the Red Queen dead. Finally looking at peace, though, after being tortured for so long, in these recent episodes.
That scene was hella awkward, though, like when they're kissing and all of a sudden you see two hands pulling like the face side up. Like, in hindsight, I love this scene because, like, it's angsty as hell, and I love angst and sadness.
But the good kind of angst.
Yeah, but this, like, I don't know, it feels like you're prying two middle schoolers apart when they're making out, like, no! And, like, oh god, I felt so fucking bad for the Knave, like, to feel all of those emotions, to feel sad, but then happy, and then you get kind of what looks like a true love's kiss, and then to, like, get screwed over that way. God, that must hurt. Like a mother.
Yeah. Jess, were you feeling the feels?
No.
Oh!
I like them as a pairing. I think they're cute. Feelings towards Anastasia in the last episode aside, it was sad that she perished that way, but I just honestly, like, it was a little bit hard for me. Like, maybe I was in denial the first time I watched it. I was just like, oh, she's dead, but they're going to bring her back, right? Like, she's not actually dead. So, I don't know. I didn't get the feels the first time, and I didn't get the feels the second time, maybe because I was in such deep denial the first time around, and it just kind of lingered.
I honestly think it's because, like, this is not your ship. You do not care about, like, the Red Queen or, like...
I do, though. Like, you weren't on the show, but of course you weren't, because it never works out that way. But you weren't on the show.
Oh, gosh.
I think it was like the second one, and I totally gave the MVP to Anastasia. Like, I like her. It was just that one episode where she irked me, but I do ship them. I just, like, I was so convinced that she wasn't dead. It just kind of, like, I wouldn't accept it. And then finally it was just kind of like, oh, she's dead. Okay, well, I spent my grief period in denial, so there's no real grief period left.
I get it now. Although, is it weird that if she had died, the whole him coming back and dating Belle afterwards would have made more sense?
That aside, because that was just a disaster and unneeded. But no, this scene fucking wrecked me. I think I was always wondering, we got the Jabberwocky that tease at the end of that episode where she messes with Jafar, and the next episode they step it up. They show us, I'm sorry, that what she's really capable of and what she does when she has our heroes, like how brutal she can be without even lifting a finger. And then now we see here, um, in return, we see Jafar, just how cruel he can be. And we always saw him, like, choking the life out of people, and he went to go get Alice's dad to mess with her. And I'm like, damn, like, this guy, you don't fuck around with Jafar, and here is the reason why. This scene is why. I mean, he says the reason he kills her in front of him was to see if his heart was working properly. You saw it working as soon as he went to go kiss her, as soon as he started yelling no. Like, that already told you that he felt something, that it was working. But no, this guy had to be an asshole and kill her right in front of him. They have a thing with, like, killing the person you love right in front of you, and I think that's the most heartbreaking thing uh ever, to see someone you love die in front of you. I mean, you're so helpless too, and you can't stop it. And I think those are the scenes that really gets me in any show, because it's not the first time I've seen this shit. Believe me, I've seen a lot of stuff, and it makes me cry every time. I didn't cry this time, but I do know the first time I saw it, I was speechless after the episode, and I wasn't fortunate enough to see the next one, or like, binge watch it. I was watching it weekly.
I'm gonna
So
say that you're right. Like I started cataloging it in my head. We've seen Snow see Charming die. We've seen Emma see Hook die. We saw Belle see Rumple die. We saw that Regina see Robin die. Like,
Daniel die.
and we've seen Alice see Cyrus die. Like at the very beginning, like what
Yeah.
she seemed to be. So like they just have they fucking love seeing the heart, like somebody's face crumple when the person they love like dies.
Yeah, and I think this is like a parallel. I mean, we just said we saw Will, breaking in front of Cora, like, man, the love of my life doesn't love me as much as I thought she did, or maybe never at all. And he's breaking, he's crying, and here he is shouting, he is screaming, and he's just like, I'm gonna kill you. Don't fucking do it. Like, don't do it. I know he's not, cursing, but oh man, I don't know what it is about the actor or just the scene, but man, it was gut wrenching. And I do think I appreciate Anastasia and Will's romance a little bit more, because I am rooting for them to get back together, because it's not just because they belong together, but because the Red Queen was trying to make amends. And I think when someone is trying to change and trying to say they're sorry, they definitely deserve a second chance. It's when you give them a chance and they're not sorry. They don't apologize. That's when I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't like these two together. But she's been trying to, and it was heartbreaking, man. Like, oh my god, just, oh, Jafar's so good. He is just so good. But fuck you, Jafar. I'm so conflicted. I don't know what to feel. I'm
It's a
so
villain.
sad. But
It's a villain.
damn.
It totally is. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's such a brilliant move on his part. Like, you want a villain that scares you. You want to know how far they're gonna go, and this is as far as he's going. And it's fucking scary. And damn, just brilliant.
Yeah,
And,
Jess has
and,
nightmares of Jafar.
and his hair, brilliant as well.
and
I have many nightmares about many things. Jafar is one of them.
Oh my.
That would be a dream for me.
You want to switch?
like,
All right.
Oh god. Invasion of the Jess Snatchers.
Oh dear.
Let's get into our MVP, the most valuable player, the character that impressed you the most, and why. And let's start off with Brittany.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jafar. Like I said, I want to see what these writers can do with these characters. How far are you gonna push all your characters, even the heroes? Like, what are you gonna do to make them have more depth? What are you gonna do to make me love them more? What are you gonna do to make me hate them more? And Jafar has been on a roll. I think he's been written consistently and outstandingly. He's one of my favorite villains in the Once Upon a Time universe, and he fucking knocked it out of the park this episode. He got everything he needed, even when he lost the staff. Where I was like, aha, you can't do anything. Oh, I'm gonna kill someone in front of you. Like, holy shit. Like, it doesn't matter. He doesn't need his staff to be an asshole. So, definitely Jafar.
Jess?
Indeed. My MVP for this episode. This is a hard one. Jeez. Oof. Honestly, it's gonna be Amara. Because as much as she, like, creeps me out with her whole baby Jafar love, it was revealed that she was doing this for her sons. She did all of this. She did lifetimes, more than one lifetime's worth of...
Amara's in the second episode.
Oh, is she?
Yes.
No, it's the staff,
okay, you're giving it to Amara the staff?
Yes.
My MVP's Jafar staff.
Okay.
Not even. We had like 5 different characters, but we're getting the staff.
Might as well give it to Jafar's hair.
Oh my.
Well, no, because as a staff, like, I wasn't sure how that was gonna work. Was she gonna have to attack him, or, like, you know what I mean? But even as an inanimate object, like, her love for her sons is so strong that she flat out would not even sort of hurt him, like, not even a little bit. And I think that that's always a really cool bond to see, the unbreakable bond between parent and child. I thought it was really well done, even though, you know, she is inanimate and shaped like a snake and a staff.
Okay. Priscilla.
I'm going to give it to Will. I don't know, you watch these shows and you're like, it's a show. But I felt my heart twinge in, like, sympathy when he's like, I wake up and every day I hope that today is the day that she comes back, and she doesn't. And then he does a really good job of, like, kind of being, like, snarky and snide and, like, not really giving a shit when the Jabberwocky's there. And then when he gets all of his emotions back, like, he just looks crumpled up and defeated, especially when the person that he loves that he gets back dies right in front of him. Like, he went through a pretty good range of emotions and, like, made me feel. So, yeah, Will Scarlet.
And my MVP goes to the HBIC, Cora. It was great to see Cora again. I love Barbara Hershey's portrayal of Cora. She was manipulative, she was evil, she was playing mind tricks, and I was here for it. I loved her inclusion into the Once Upon a Time in Wonderland mythos, which it was very appropriate that she was included, because she is the Queen of Hearts. And I'm glad that we finally got a chance to see her, and it was neat seeing how she sort of like weeded her way into the lives of Anastasia and Will. So let's get... Go ahead.
Lovely. That's lovely. Like, you did a good job. I liked your MVP.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I liked everyone's MVPs, even Jess's inanimate object.
That inanimate object loves!
Has any of her MVPs been the magic carpet?
Maybe next episode. Oh gosh. So let's...
No one understands me!
Brittany's MVP next time will be Jafar's hair.
Yeah, definitely. Now that I know that there's no bounds, like, to our MVP, it shouldn't be like most valuable player or person. It should be most valuable, I don't know, introduced objects.
That's too long. We'll keep it at MVP. And next we'll have, the
most valuable thing.
Yeah.
MVT. MVT.
Good grief. So it's time to rate the episode. We are on a mushroom scale of 1 to 10. The point system is allowed, and if the episode exceeds your expectation, you may grant it with the coveted golden mushroom. And we'll go in reverse order, so I'll go first. And I give this episode a 9.5. It was near perfection for me. I loved the flashbacks. I thought they were really well done and sort of gave us the chance to truly get to know how the Red Queen became the woman that we saw at the start of the series. I also liked, even though we all sort of assumed the revelation of how the knave lost his heart, so that was really interesting and certainly motivated what was going on in the present day storyline. I liked what we saw in Storybrooke with the characters. I always love seeing characters that are not from our world, the land without magic, interacting with our technology and stuff. I think it's neat, and I wish that we saw more of that from our characters on the mothership. And I liked all the stuff with Jafar and the Red Queen and Will and the Red Queen and like all of the heart to heart and the torture sessions and all that kind of stuff was really interesting. And I mean, the ending was a big surprise. I don't know why it isn't like a 10 from me. Maybe because I just feel like I can't give everything a 10 or a golden mushroom, so maybe that's why I'm giving it a 9.5, but it was, I really do want to give it a 10, but I'm going to stick with the 9.5 because I thought it was great. So, continuing on, Priscilla.
I completely get what you mean when, like, you don't know why it's not scoring like a perfect score. You don't know why it's not scoring golden, even though it has like really great moments, but it doesn't tip the scale enough.
Yeah, maybe just needed a little bit more, but I don't know what that little bit more is.
Yeah, I kind of want to give it like a 9 too. Like, even though, and I will say this like without any shame whatsoever, like YouTube usually like there's users on YouTube that release like the clips, and one of the clips that's saved in my favorites is that part where Anastasia and Will like have their true love's kiss and then she dies. Like that, it just gives your heart from like high point to extreme low point. Like it's a great clip. So it's that pushes this episode from an 8 to a 9 for me, but not a 10, and certainly not golden.
Jess.
Yeah, nine mushrooms for me. I liked it a lot, but it was just missing something, and I don't know what that something was, but I really, really enjoyed the way that they have sped things along. It's a happy little train. I enjoy it. I enjoy the pacing. It's very, I want to say snappy, but that's not the right word. But do you get me?
Yeah, I get you. It's quick. Like it doesn't have like a slow pacing. Yeah, I get it.
Yes, thank you, Priscilla. Our brains are one.
That's extra creepy. Brittany. Oh my, we've had a 9.5, we've had 2 9s. What do you rate this episode on our mushroom scale?
Oh, I give it a golden mushroom. Definitely.
Ooh.
I think, like I said, the arc of the last 3 episodes are huge. So I do have expectations. And if you can make me go wow and feel and just like if you can make me feel excited to happy to sad in one episode, like you get all the points. And there was not one time this episode where I felt really bored. I was actually genuinely interested in everything that was going on. And I mean, I know I say I don't like Cora, but that's just because I hate her. But I enjoyed having her in this episode. Call back to the mothership. They had a lot of humorous moments. We had Jafar lose his staff, but still had the highest stakes with killing, someone we like as a character, probably one of our favorite, maybe the favorite character of the show, in front of the person, that loves her. I mean, just everything you want. A villain being a villain, our heroes getting kind of like their own, I guess like a one up because they had nothing. They went to go get Knave's heart. Jafar gets it, but they get the staff, and then they find out that that's his mom. Like everyone got something in this episode, and it gave me everything. And I don't think this series has a lot of golden mushrooms. I think it has a good amount, and this was one of them for me. I don't know why you guys are all fighting to give it what you really want to give it. Don't fight it, guys. If you really enjoyed it and you want to rewatch it, or you find yourself wanting to rewatch it, give it that mushroom. Because there are some episodes I don't want to rewatch, but this one I do. Because I want to cry. I like crying, apparently.
Brittany,
So.
because of you, I will give it a golden mushroom.
Yeah.
2 golds, 2 9s. Not a bad episode.
I agree. Unless Jess wants to change too. Peer pressure.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
She doesn't feel anything for the Red Queen, that's why.
I feel lots of things.
Oh my gosh.
Too much.
You know, which is weird because I've seen Once Upon a Time more because of all the seasons we've had, and I know about people that death really doesn't mean much, especially from other shows that we've seen. How now in a lot of sci-fi fantasy shows it feels like death doesn't mean anything, but if it makes you feel something, then it's there. And I felt something. Whether
I know
knew
you
what was
did.
gonna happen, I did. I mean, shit, like it's in within the context of how it happened. It wasn't an off-screen death. It wasn't a sacrifice. It was right in front of Will, right when he got his heart back. Like you gotta put that in there just for that extra like squeeze of your heart, and that's what makes this a golden mushroom for me.
There you go. Jess.
Indeed.
Okay.
Has no heart.
And she's so dramatic. I like it.
Dramatic? How dare you?
Well, there.
Off with his head.
Oh my.
Yes!
On that
Chop off
note, on that
What?
note,
We're not letting you end.
it's time to get a little spoilery. Let's dive into some Easter eggs featured in this week's episode of Once Upon a Time in Wonderland and the Once Upon a Time television universe. This is an official spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Check out our official Facebook like page by visiting facebook.com/Storybrooke Weekly Mirror. Let's get into the ratings first. When this episode initially aired back on March 20th, 2014, it was viewed by 3.51 million viewers. And now on to Easter eggs. We'll start off with the opening title card, which featured the Serpent Staff. And of course, this episode features characters from the Alice in Wonderland story, Alice I should say, the Caterpillar, Knave of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, and the White Rabbit, and characters from the sequel, Through the Looking Glass, the Red Queen, Jabberwocky, Tweedles, and characters from the Aladdin story, Sultan, Evil Sorcerer, and Genie. Jafar's Book of Spells contains a long Latin excerpt from Ars Grammatica, and the excerpt is from the first Ars Grammatica, known as Ars Minor, which is a brief overview of the 8 parts of speech. The text in the spellbook is from the section about de propositione, preposition. A picture of a Vegvisor, a Icelandic magical stave intended to help the bearer find their way through rough weather, is also seen in the spellbook. Around the Vegvisor, there are characters from the reconstruction of the mysterious Emerald Tablet, which is one of the pillars of Western alchemy. The opposite page contains an illustration by the 16th century Italian naturalist Ulisse Aldrovandi, book History of Monsters, published posthumously in 1642. The illustration, known as Monstrum Cornutum and Alatum Aliud Male, shows a winged monster without arms, with animal ears and face. As Jafar turns the pages, he stops at an incantation, and it's written in Latin, and the line is translated to say, "Begin, 3 genies in bottles, give me power, 3 magic things, he wants all." And there's a note that says that genie is actually spelled in plain English in the text, so the words around genies is in Latin. This is the same incantation that Jafar uses to take control of the genie bottles. However, he does not say the last stanza. On the opposite page, characters from the Emerald Tablet can be seen on the right side of the page, and some of them are upside down and or mirror inverted. There's another page that shows the Tree of Life from Kabbalah. This symbol represents as a series of divine emanations, God's creations, the nature of revealed divinity, the human soul, and the spiritual path of ascent by man. And when Jafar tries to take control of the genie bottles after he tries the second incantation, you can see a fourth genie bottle on the table next to the other three. Oops, goof. The dress that Korra wears in the episode is the same dress that she wears in Henry's estate in the Enchanted Forest years earlier that we saw on the mothership in her last two flashback scenes in the Once Upon a Time episode Sisters, which occurred in this most recent season of Once Upon a Time, Season 5, Episode 19. So now, they aren't just reusing locations. They're reusing dresses.
God damn it. This show...
Dun 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 dun.
I get so disappointed when they do that. I get that, like, the budget only goes so far, but... I don't know. It's so lazy to me.
Yes, I agree. And on that note, join us next time for a brand new installment of Storybrooke Weekly Mirror in Wonderland. Visit the Papi Chulo Radio archives to download this episode and many more. Binge listen to your favorite Papi Chulo Radio programs by visiting papichuloradio.com/archives. You can download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Storybrooke Weekly Mirror in Wonderland and subscribe. You can also like Papi Chulo Radio on Facebook by going to facebook.com/Papi Chulo Radio. Help support Papi Chulo Radio financially by going to GoFundMe.com/Papi Chulo Radio. You can email us via contact@PapiChuloRadio.com with any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns. Are you interested in joining the Papi Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality or blog contributor or Jess's new best friend? Email talent@PapiChuloRadio.com. Co-hosts, please wish the listeners a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, future best friends.
Oh, that was cute. Thanks for tuning in. Join us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific throughout the summer for a brand new installment of Storybrooke Weekly Mirror in Wonderland. Good night.